What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver versus DB one-on-one. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things, but also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and would like a daily on-field route running training schedule to follow, check out that very first link in the description below for our 8-week wide receiver on-field workout plan. It's over 200 plus wide receiver press release, route running, catching drills with the exact sets and reps to do, and we give you a video example of each exercise to do as well. So check out that very first link in the description below if you are interested in that, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So this first router is going to be from Justin Ross, and he's going to be running this kind of like hitch and go, and this is a perfect example of why wide receivers want to practice one-handed catches. So let's play this thing full speed, then we'll break it down. So he comes off the ball, attacks his DB's leverage inside, kind of puts the brakes on. I think he didn't sell the ball the best, or sell the route the best he could, but he obviously comes down with this catch and makes a hell of a play here with this ball one-handed. So let's talk about this. So first things first with the route, like if you have to run, a hitch and go, the most important thing is obviously going to be selling the hitch. You have to make that hitch look exactly like the hitch route that you would run normally versus this inside shade press look. So if we had to run a hitch versus inside shade press, we would attack him to the inside. We maybe try to threaten him with some kind of inside breaking route. Anytime we have a DB who's lined up inside shade or AKA inside leverage, that just means he's lined up a little bit to the inside of me or a lot to the inside of me. But he's trying to stop the inside route. No slants, no digs, no posts. He doesn't want to give up anything to the inside. So that's what we want to do with my release. I want to try to hold him there. I want to try to attack him there so I could take that free outside release and maybe potentially force an overreaction out of him. He opens up his hips and thinks we were running a fade because of how we set up this release. So we burst to the outside. Now, when he does this little hitch move, I think he probably could have sold this thing a little bit better. This may not have been a straight up designed hitch and go. Maybe it was just a straight up fade and he's trying to give a little bit of a stutter or a tempo change. But guys, if we want this DB to kind of settle down anytime I'm doing a double move, like a hitch and go, stutter go, whatever, I got to be violent with my movements. Like you see when Ross comes off the movement here or comes off this route here, it's just kind of like a quick little chatter of the feet, right? That quick little chatter of your feet, while that might slow you down a touch, a DB is going to be watching our hips. So if he doesn't see this level change with my hips and me actually drop down, he is not going to stop. He is not going to buy it if we are just chopping my feet and chattering my hands. That's not enough to sell this double move. We have to drop, we have to sit on down, and then accelerate back up vertical. Now, a lot of times, you hear wide receiver coaches all the time when receivers are catching the ball, working on catching with one hand or whatever it is, they're always harping on them to use two. And I think you should use two hands anytime that you can use two hands on a catch, obviously. But I think wide receivers need to work on this exact situation, going up with one hand, because you never know when a DB is going to grab you and pull your other arm. DBs love to hold. DBs love to give PI. Again, they do it because they'll be able to get away with it in most cases. Like this flag may not even be called if the referee doesn't see it. So I don't want to use that as an excuse. And yes, it sucks. We never want to get held. We never want to have pass interference because that makes it very tough on me to make a catch and to make a play. But if I could do this and I could make the play with the PI, that makes it very, very tough on the DB. And that's a great way for you to be able to stand out. You don't rely on the excuse of, hey, coach, he's holding me. You could just make that play. This happens over the middle. This happens on jump ball. This happens on back shoulder catches. So I'm a firm believer that when you guys are warming up, if you feel like you're getting, very confident with your hands, you feel like you're automatic with your hands, start working one-handed catches because these catches can only help you and can only help you stand out. Like think about it. Like a lot of you guys just wrapped up fall camp. You're entering the season. Maybe some of you aren't starting, right? Or maybe some of you are like the fifth receiver. You get some play time. Or maybe some of you are starting, but you want to get a more active role in the offense. Making these types of plays are how you stand out. DBs are going to hold. They've been holding since the beginning of the game. So you have to not rely on that. You can't make excuses. Still make the play. That's why I think receivers should work on one-handed catches. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Again, probably could have sold this like kind of stutter or hitch move a little bit more with a violent drop of his hips, really sitting down to draw that DB in. But great job making up for it by finishing with the play. So now this next route is going to be from Travis Kelce, and he actually gets locked up on this route. This DB plays this thing insanely well. But there are a couple things that Kelce could have done better here to get more separation. So let's play this thing full speed. So he's running an out and up route. So he breaks to the out route, tries to get this DB to crash down, but the DB is all over this thing. And this pass ends up incomplete, as you can see right here. So let's talk about why this didn't work. So I think the pretty obvious answer is that he did not sell this route enough with his eyes. So anytime that we're working a double move, right? Whether that's that hitch and go that we just looked at, whether that's out and up, whether that's a post corner. This first move, like we said, has to look identical to when you actually run the route. So when we break to this out route here, you see how Kelce, he's kind of looking at the floor here. He's not really looking back. He's not snapping his eyes to Mahomes to try to draw this DB in on an out route. If he sees that we're looking at the floor and my body language is not committed to the out route, he is not going to buy on it. You see how Kelce's hips and shoulders were never fully committed to the sideline. They were always kind of drifting upfield. Now, a disciplined DB who is reading our body language is going to see that. Now, like I know some of you might be saying, well, coach, why is it important that I snap my eyes to the quarterback? Because he's not supposed to be watching my eyes anyways. Well, the whole reason I'm saying snap your eyes is because when you turn your head, your body also turns. And again, a DB who's watching our body language, if my hips commit to the out route, he's more likely to drive on the out route. If I'm running with speed, if I'm not taking choppy strides. So guys, I say snap the head around because that's going to bring your body. If you're looking at the floor, that hip, that shoulder will always be telegraphing the second move of the break, and this DB could stay over the top and make a play. So on double moves, fellas, we got to make sure the first move we have speed. We're violent with the cuts. We're violent with the change of direction. And you got to commit the upper body, and the head snapping to the QB will bring the upper body there. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Again, Kelce, right idea here. And again, this route could work potentially for him if he snaps the eyes and body commits, so that DB might drive or try to undercut the out route. Okay, so now this next route here is going to be a comeback route here from this wide receiver. So anytime that we are running a comeback versus inside shade press, we cannot just take off and run. So many wide receivers will make that mistake. They have an outside breaking route like a fade, an out route, a comeback, a corner. DB's lined up inside shade press, so they just think, oh, I'm just going to go take off and run. We have to attack him first. Let's take the outside release, and let's try to do something called getting skinny. And that's what this is a great example of. So let's play this full speed. So he attacks him inside, outside release, he gets skinny, stays tight to the DB, and is able to give the quarterback room to throw us open on this outside breaking route. So remember, when we come up to line, like I said, just because this DB's inside shade, that does not mean that we can just take off and run to the outside, because that's exactly what he wants us to do. You have to understand this guy's mindset here. He's lined up inside shade for a reason. Stop the slant, stop the dig, stop the post, and force you to the sideline. Force this wide receiver out of bounds. So if you're running an outside breaking route like a comeback, an out, a corner, you need one thing in common on all three of those, or even a fade. You need room for the quarterback. You need room for him to be able to throw you open. So if you just take off and go run and then you break, you don't have room and the timing is off with him. He is expecting you to get to the depth with plenty of space to the sideline. So that's why we attack him off the line. Let's just try to get the DB to hold to the inside. We don't got to break his ankles. I don't need to waste a whole bunch of time doing all these fancy moves. I just want him to hold to the inside. Then I take the outside release. Now, notice when he takes the outside release, he doesn't run this way. He doesn't run away from the contact. His hips and his shoulders get vertical. He stays tight to the DB. He's trying to get hip to hip with the DB. I call that getting skinny. Getting skinny just essentially means getting tight. So if you hear that phrase from a receiver coach, from myself, that just means running tight to the DB. So when he's running tight to the DB, when he decides to make this break, guess what he has now? He has space to the sideline. But he makes this break 2 or 3 yards this way towards the sideline. He doesn't have as much room. And again, that quarterback has to have room to throw us open. So when he breaks down on this cut, I think this break could have been a little bit smoother. I think he needs to get a little bit lower, right? So you see how when he makes this cut, he snaps down 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then maybe 7. I would say 6 steps to get him out of the break. That's a lot of steps at the break point, and he kind of drifted upfield a little bit. All of those things give that DB time to recover. Now, how he could get out of this maybe a little bit faster is that when he makes this break, maybe getting a little bit lower. Like you see how he's bending at his waist and his chest is going forward, but he's not necessarily sitting his butt down. Guys, to be able to decelerate, you have to do both. You need to get to this position, but you also need to pretend like you are sitting into a chair. Because, and the reason why that's important is on every single route that we run, what are we trying to make the DB think we're running? We're trying to make him think we're running a fade, right? I want him to think that I'm running 50 yards downfield, quarterback's throwing this thing over the top, and we're catching this pass. So we obviously, when we do that, we need to have some speed, right? I can't be doing this running slow. So when you have so much forward momentum, forward speed, but you don't sit down and lower your center of gravity that way, and your chest kind of ends up going past your knees a little bit, like almost leaning forward, you are going to drift forward. And the longer we take at the break point, more time the DB has to react. So we drift upfield a little bit. That's what gives the DB time to be like right on his hip, but ultimately a good throw. And again, this was set up because he got skinny. The break didn't help him out. This getting skinny part, his release, giving the quarterback room, that's what made this play happen. Could he have gotten more separation? Absolutely. If his break was a little bit better, absolutely could have gotten more separation. But again, you got to understand spacing, and you got to understand there is no defense for a perfect throw. There is no defense for a quarterback who could put that ball where it needs to be. Now, what could he have done a little bit better on the break? Like I said, if you guys think about I tell my receivers, you want to try to bring your chest to your quad, not chest over the quad or over the knee. You want to bring your chest to your quads, and you want to sit down like you were playing musical chairs. As quickly as you could sit, lower the center of gravity, and that'll help you guys stop more on a dime, especially if we do it as quick as possible. So let's play this again full speed. That'll get rid of the wasted steps, but his release, him getting skinny, that's what made this play possible, fellas. Great route here. Great job showing that comeback versus inside shade press. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like an 8-week wide receiver on-field workout schedule, everything wide receivers need to be doing for route running, releases, hands, everything, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.